Age difference didn't matter. God said this love is real. Listen closely, beloved, because what I am about to speak was not whispered by culture, not judged by time, and not approved by the opinions of men. This message was sealed in heaven before you ever questioned it on earth. I am Archangel Michael, and I have come with urgency, because your heart has been under pressure, and your mind has been under attack. You have wondered, can this really be from God? You have asked, why would love come this way, through such an unexpected gap, through such an unlikely door? Hear me now. Heaven is not confused. God is not conflicted. And what others tried to label as wrong timing or wrong order, God has already called aligned. From the beginning, the enemy tried to use numbers to create doubt. Years, age, seasons, labels. But God does not measure love the way humans do. He measures by assignment, by purpose, by recognition of the soul. And when God spoke over this connection, He did not mention age, He spoke destiny. You felt it before you understood it. That moment when your spirit recognized something familiar, something safe, something that felt ancient and new at the same time. That was not emotion alone. That was remembrance. Souls recognize what minds cannot explain. And that recognition terrified the enemy, because real love, God-ordained love, breaks cycles and exposes lies. You were told to be cautious. You were warned to be realistic. Some even use scripture without revelation to plant fear in you. But listen, God never warned you away from this love. He warned you through it. He has been refining you, strengthening you, healing you, so that when this love stands fully revealed, it will not collapse under insecurity or fear. This connection did not come to distract you. It came to activate you. Yes, the age difference challenged your logic, but it aligned your spirit. Yes, it forced you to confront wounds you had buried, but healing always precedes covenant. And yes, it made you question whether you were worthy, but that question itself was proof that this love is stretching you into the version God already saw. Do you know why this love survived the doubts? Because it wasn't built on convenience. Do you know why it keeps returning to your thoughts? Because it carries unfinished purpose. There were nights you tried to pray it away. And God was silent, not because He disapproved, but because He was waiting for you to trust. Silence does not always mean no. Sometimes it means, I already answered, now walk. I tell you this plainly, the prayers spoken about you were heard. Tears were shed over you. Confusion was brought to God's feet. And the answer that came back from heaven was clear, this love is not a mistake. But hear me, this does not mean it will be easy. Real love never is. This love will demand maturity, patience, humility, and courage. It will require you to stop asking people for permission to follow what God already confirmed. And it will require you to let go of timelines that were never yours to begin with. Do not rush it. Do not sabotage it. And do not shrink yourself to make it make sense to others. If this message is stirring your spirit, stay with me. Do not scroll away. There is something critical you must understand next, because God did not just confirm this love. He revealed why it came now, and what will happen if you ignore it. Pay attention. What comes next will change how you see this connection forever. Stay with me, beloved, because now we move beyond confirmation and into revelation. What you are experiencing is not random timing, it is divine interruption. God stepped into your familiar pattern and disrupted it on purpose. This love did not arrive when it was convenient. It arrived when it was necessary. There is a reason it came after disappointment. A reason it came after years where you thought love had already passed you by, or hadn't arrived yet. Heaven waited until your illusions were stripped away. Until you could no longer be impressed by surface, status, or shallow affection. Only then could your spirit recognize what was real. The age difference was not an obstacle. It was a filter. It filtered out lust disguised as love. It filtered out ego disguised as attraction. It filtered out those who were never meant to understand you. What remains now is something pure, unsettling, undeniable. You see, God does not bring covenant connections to entertain you. He brings them to mirror you. And this love reflects parts of you that were dormant. Parts that needed awakening. Parts that needed courage to rise. That is why it feels intense. That is why it feels different. That is why you cannot treat it casually, even if you tried. I know you've questioned the imbalance. Who will lead? Who will follow? Who is stronger? Who is wiser? But heaven laughs gently at those questions, because God is not building hierarchy here. He is building unity. Strength is exchanged. Wisdom flows both ways. Healing is mutual. This is not about who is older or younger. This is about who is awake. And yes, fear has tried to enter. Fear of judgment. Fear of failure. Fear of repeating the past. Fear that one day this love might expose you too deeply. But listen carefully, fear only attacks what carries future weight. The enemy does not waste resistance on connections that go nowhere. There are prayers being answered through this love that you didn't even pray aloud. Prayers for safety. Prayers for understanding. Prayers to be seen without having to perform. That is why your soul exhales around this person. That is why conversations feel timeless. That is why silence does not feel empty. You are not shrinking to fit, you are expanding to breathe. But now I must warn you, gently and firmly. Do not try to control the outcome. Do not rush God's process. And do not compare this journey to anyone else's story. Comparison is the quickest way to contaminate something holy. This love must grow in truth, not pressure. In alignment, not anxiety. God is more interested in building a foundation than delivering a fantasy. And foundations are laid slowly, intentionally, invisibly, until suddenly, they can hold weight that others cannot. Some of you listening have been asking, why hasn't it fully manifested yet? Because timing is protecting you. Because maturity is being completed. Because clarity is still forming. God is ensuring that when this love stands openly, it will not crumble under scrutiny. He is removing insecurity, pride, and fear, layer by layer. Not to delay your joy, but to secure it. And hear this truth clearly: if you walk away out of fear, the lesson will return, maybe not in the same form, but with the same demand for growth. God does not repeat assignments to punish you. He repeats them until you are ready to steward them. This love came to teach you how to choose differently. To speak honestly. To listen deeply. To love without self-betrayal. And yes, it came to challenge the lie that your season has passed or hasn't arrived. Heaven does not run on your calendar. God's now often looks strange to the world, but it is always precise. If your heart is racing right now, that is not anxiety, it is recognition. If tears are forming, that is not weakness, it is release. If you feel both excitement and fear, it is because you are standing at the edge of transformation. Stay present. Stay prayerful. Stay humble. And if this message is speaking directly to you, honor it. You don't need to announce it, just acknowledge it. A quiet yes in your spirit is enough for heaven to continue moving. But listen, there is still something you have not been shown yet. A hidden purpose behind this love that goes beyond companionship, something that affects your calling, your future, and the legacy you will leave. Do not miss the next part. What God reveals next will explain why this love is being protected, and what happens when the timing finally aligns. Beloved, now we step into the depth you have felt but could not name. Because this love was never only about affection, it is about alignment with destiny. God did not just allow this connection. He positioned it. And the reason it feels protected, delayed, tested, and refined is because it carries weight beyond romance. This love touches your assignment. There are callings that cannot mature in isolation. There are purposes that awaken only when another soul stands close enough to see the real you, and still stays. God saw the battles you would face in the next season, and He knew you could not walk them alone. Not with just anyone. With this person. That is why the enemy attacked early with confusion. That is why outside voices grew louder. That is why timing felt stretched. The enemy sensed that if this connection reached stability, you would become dangerous to fear, immune to manipulation, and anchored in truth. You thought love was coming to complete you. But God sent it to confirm you. This person sees the version of you that others overlooked. Not the mask. Not the performance. The quiet strength. The hidden wisdom. The tenderness you protect. That recognition did not come from observation, it came from spiritual familiarity. And when souls recognize each other at that level, heaven pays attention. Still, God has been careful. Why? Because immature love rushes exposure. Mature love guards growth. You have wondered why everything hasn't unfolded publicly, boldly, instantly. Why things seem to happen in stages. Why clarity comes in waves. This is not delay, it is discipline. God is teaching both hearts how to hold something sacred without suffocating it. Hear me, if this love had arrived earlier, it would have been mishandled. If it had arrived later, it would have been missed. This moment, right now, is precise. But now comes the part that requires courage. Soon, a choice will be placed before you. Not dramatic. Not forced. Quiet, but defining. You will either lean into trust, or retreat into logic. You will either let God lead the pace, or attempt to control the outcome. And whatever you choose will determine how this love unfolds. Control feels safe, but it blocks intimacy. Trust feels risky, but it invites God's hand. Some of you have already felt the tension rising. Conversations becoming deeper. Boundaries being tested, not in sin, but in honesty. Vulnerability increasing. And with it, the temptation to pull back before you are fully seen. Do not run. Running does not protect your heart, it postpones healing. This love will ask you to communicate instead of assume. To stay present instead of disappearing. To express fear instead of acting from it. That is the refinement happening now. God is teaching you a new way to love, one that does not abandon itself when things feel intense. And yes, there will be a moment when the age difference comes up again. Not as an accusation, but as a question of readiness. When that moment comes, do not defend. Do not explain excessively. Do not shrink. Simply stand in truth. Truth does not argue. It rests. If this connection were not real, it would have faded by now. If it were only emotional, it would have burned out. But it remains, steady, persistent, returning, because it is anchored in something deeper than desire. God has been watching how you steward it. How you speak when misunderstood. How you wait when unsure. How you pray instead of panic. And heaven is pleased. But I must speak plainly now, this love will not tolerate half measures. You cannot keep one foot in the past and one in the promise. You cannot ask God to bless what you are afraid to fully receive. Fear must be surrendered, not negotiated. If you are listening to this and feeling resistance rise, that resistance is not warning, it is growth friction. Muscles ache when they strengthen. Hearts tremble when they expand. Let them. And if this message is resonating deeply, do not ignore that nudge. Even now, pause, take a breath, and acknowledge God's presence. That simple act of awareness keeps you aligned. You are not behind. You are not foolish. You are not imagining this. You are being prepared. Because what comes next is not just a shift in the relationship, it is a shift in visibility. Soon, what has been hidden will require definition. What has been protected will require courage. And what has been growing quietly will need to stand with confidence. Stay with me. The next revelation will show you what God is about to unlock, and why this love will soon demand a decision that cannot be undone. Beloved, the moment approaches when what has been nurtured in silence will ask to be named. God never keeps truth hidden forever. He conceals for preparation, then reveals for purpose. And you are nearing the point where this love will no longer remain undefined, not because people demand answers, but because your spirit will. You have felt it already. A subtle pressure. A holy urgency. A sense that staying neutral is no longer an option. This is not anxiety. This is alignment calling you forward. God is not rushing you, but He is inviting you to stand. Stand in honesty. Stand in maturity. Stand in faith rather than fear. Because real love does not survive on ambiguity forever. It must be spoken, chosen, and honored. And hear this carefully, when the time comes to define this connection, heaven will not ask you to prove it to others. Heaven will ask if you are willing to protect it. Protection does not mean secrecy forever. It means wisdom in timing. It means discernment in disclosure. It means refusing to let opinions outrank conviction. The enemy's strategy has always been the same: expose too early or pressure too late. But God's strategy is balance. Strength. Peace. Some of you are afraid that once this love is acknowledged, everything will change. You are right. It will. But not in the way fear imagines. What will change is the inner conflict. The second guessing. The constant asking, is this okay? When truth is embraced, confusion loses its voice. But before that clarity comes, there is one final test, not from God, but permitted by Him. A moment where doubt resurfaces. Where an old fear tries one last time to reclaim control. Where logic presents a safer, quieter alternative: let this go. Choose comfort. Avoid risk. Do not be deceived. Comfort has never been your calling. God does not bring destiny-aligned love to make life smaller. He brings it to expand your capacity, to love deeper, to trust higher, to live truer. And yes, that expansion requires courage. You may worry about the future. About sustainability. About differences that feel impossible to predict. But listen, God does not reveal the full map. He reveals the next step. And right now, the next step is not perfection. It is presence. Stay present. Stay prayerful. Stay honest. This love is not asking you to abandon wisdom, it is asking you to stop hiding behind it. There is a reason peace keeps returning when you surrender control. There is a reason clarity comes after prayer, not after overthinking. God is teaching you how to discern His voice above your fear. And the more you obey that inner peace, the quieter the noise becomes. Let me speak to the wound beneath the worry. Some of you fear loss because you have known disappointment. You fear investing because you have been left before. You fear hope because hope once broke your heart. But this love is not repeating the past, it is redeeming it. What once wounded you will not define this outcome. God has already accounted for your history. He is not careless with hearts, especially healed ones. And now, Heaven is watching how you respond. Not to perfection, but to invitation. If you lean in with humility, God will meet you with confirmation. If you step forward in faith, God will provide stability. If you choose love over fear, God will guard what you cannot control. But if you retreat now, if you silence your heart to protect yourself, you may find peace temporarily, but you will always wonder what obedience might have unlocked. This is not meant to pressure you. It is meant to clarify you. Because the next season will require unity. It will require mutual courage. It will require both hearts to show up, not flawlessly, but faithfully. And yes, soon there will be a conversation that matters. A moment that shifts things from internal to intentional. When that moment comes, remember this. You are not asking for permission. You are answering a call. If this message has carried you this far, do not dismiss it. Let it settle. Let it breathe. Let God continue to speak. And stay with me, because the final revelation is approaching. What I am about to share next will show you how this love transforms not just your relationship, but your future, and why God calls it real, not because it feels good, but because it will last. Beloved, now we arrive at the truth that has been forming beneath everything you have felt. This is why God Himself spoke over this love and called it real. Not because it was easy. Not because it fit expectation. But because it is built to endure transformation. Many loves feel powerful in the beginning. Few survive the moment when growth is required. This one will, because it was not founded on fantasy, but on refinement. God has watched how you both changed under pressure. How misunderstanding did not destroy connection. How distance did not erase presence. How silence did not dissolve commitment. These were not accidents. These were tests of sustainability. And you passed more than you realize. You see, real love does not panic when challenged. It pauses. It listens. It adjusts. It stays. That is why God did not remove this connection when doubts appeared. He allowed the shaking, so what was unshakable could remain. The age difference was never the issue. The issue was whether love could mature without control, deepen without fear, commit without ownership. And heaven has been answering that question quietly, moment by moment. Now hear this carefully, this love will not look like others around you. It will not follow borrowed scripts. It will not move on demand. It will grow according to truth, not pressure. That is why God has guarded it so fiercely. Some of you wondered why certain doors closed once this love appeared. Why distractions lost their appeal. Why old patterns no longer satisfied you. That was not loss, it was alignment. God was narrowing your focus so you could see clearly what was real. And now, as this season comes into fullness, something profound will happen. You will stop needing reassurance. Not because you stop caring, but because peace will replace anxiety. Security will replace overthinking. Presence will replace performance. When love is real, it does not demand constant proof. It rests. But make no mistake, this does not mean the journey ends here. It means it deepens. There will be building. There will be responsibility. There will be moments that require choosing love daily, not emotionally, but intentionally. And God is not afraid of that weight. He would not call this love real if it could not carry purpose. Some of you listening have been asking God for clarity about your future, about direction, about calling, about stability. And He has been answering, not just through words, but through this connection. Because some revelations arrive in relationship. This love is teaching you how to trust without losing yourself. How to give without abandoning wisdom. How to stand in truth without arrogance. That is why heaven protects it. And soon, very soon, you will notice a shift. What once felt uncertain will feel grounded. What once felt fragile will feel steady. What once required prayer will begin to bear fruit. Not overnight, but undeniably. Let me speak to those still wrestling with fear. Fear does not disqualify you. Avoidance does. If you feel afraid, bring it to God, not as a reason to stop, but as an offering to surrender. God does not ask for fearless hearts. He asks for honest ones. And honesty is what will carry this love forward. There is nothing wrong with moving slowly, so long as you are still moving. There is nothing wrong with asking questions, so long as you do not silence truth. There is nothing wrong with protecting your heart, so long as you do not lock it. This love does not want perfection. It wants presence. It wants integrity. It wants courage. And now, hear the final truth. God called this love real because it is not temporary. It is not seasonal. It is not based on what you can gain, but on who you are becoming together. It will outgrow opinions. It will outlast doubt. It will mature beyond explanation. But it must be chosen. Not once. Not emotionally. But daily, intentionally, faithfully. If you choose it with God at the center, it will strengthen you both. If you steward it with humility, it will protect you both. And if you walk forward without fear ruling you, God Himself will walk ahead of you. Do not rush the promise. Do not resist the calling. And do not ignore the peace that keeps returning. If this message has spoken to you, let it anchor you. Let it guide your next step. Let it remind you that heaven sees what you cannot yet fully see. And stay attentive, because the next move will not come through signs or voices, but through a quiet knowing in your spirit. When that moment arrives, you will understand why God said this love is real, and why He trusted you to carry it.